Hey, what's up guys, Chimp here. Today's video is going to be a little different. It's not going to be my normal gaming video or my normal, like, playing around with my friends kind of video. Today's subject is going to be a little more touchy, and not a lot of people are going to understand what's happening, and that's fine. But, we're going to get into it, and we're going to explain what happened. Yeah, hope you enjoy the video. So recently we had a problem with someone in our community that decided to take advantage of underage girls. His name is Luco. If you are friends with Fran or know Fran or watch Fran in his Discord server, whatever, you probably heard of him. I'm gonna let the victim explain what happened, and I'm gonna have a couple more victims come on after her. Basically, things happened, he took advantage of underage girls, and yeah, I'll let the victim explain.
Well, I've known who Luca was since I think I joined Fran's server, which was like, end of March, I think. Wait, no. Well, May. I mean, I don't know months. The end of May. And he always seemed like weird and like, I don't know, just like an ass. And we had all the issues with him being like his admin and mod like abuse and stuff, and like already had our issues with him and everything. So I avoided him as much as possible and never like talked to him or anything. I mean, like, he talked to me, I'd be civil, but that was about it. I didn't try to be his friend or anything. And fast forward to the day that everything happened. During the day, I actually was playing Brawl with like a few of the people, and he happened to be in there, and I had my camera on and stuff. So did he, and like his girlfriend did. I didn't know it was his girlfriend at the time. Playing Brawl and everything was cool, and like that was all that happened during the day. And so later that day, I was on call with, I think, Apps. Not sure who else was there. A couple other people, not that many. It was basically just me and Joe talking. And I was talking in Fran's server, and I'm not sure what time it was. It was probably around midnight, I think. Something around there. It was nighttime. People were just talking about how, like, being issues and shit, and like how they can't sleep. And Luco started like, talking to me and like, it's like telling me to go to sleep, and that it's like not good that I'm awake and shit like that. And I'm just like, I can't sleep, and like, well, am I gonna have to use force? And I was like, I don't know, no, I don't know. it was uncomfortable to say the least. And I was just like, I can't sleep with like the 2 finger emojis that I always use. It's like my I'm shy thing. And I don't know, he was like trying to say like he shit, but like in like more civil manner, I guess. I just like brushed it off, and then I get a DM from him. He just asked if I was asleep, and I was like, sure. And he proceeded to like ask me if I needed like help going to sleep, I guess, or if I needed like an example of like someone sleeping, and I was like, sure, with a question mark, because I wasn't sure what he meant by that. He ended up sending me a picture of himself sleeping. That was a picture he took of himself. It was weird, and I was like, I will assume you're asleep now, because I didn't say anything after he sent it. And I was awake to take the picture, and then I didn't say anything, and he just says, I'm assuming this knocked you out. And I said, most definitely. If there was any reason that I have like a messed up like sleep schedule, and I just said life. He asks, says, usually something happens around that time to convince you of adapting your schedule. And he like does examples. Those examples being, says, example, relationship, masturbation, trauma, or sickness, etc. And I was like, no. I didn't say anything still. And he says, oh, by the way, I am Dr. Luco now. And it says, ooh, doctor. And he says, unfortunately, not the sexy kind. It was very uncomfortable. I was being as dry as possible in this conversation, so like all of my responses were consisted of like 1 to 3 words. I just said, oof, still doctor though. And he asked, what seems to be the problem? I said, too much, to be honest. And he just asked like what my problem is, like the biggest one, and I just like proceeded to like talk about like ex and shit and like relationship stuff. And like stuff that happened with that. And he goes, I tell him about that. And he says something about how like he's been cheated on as well. And like oh, he asks, after I explain what happened with me and my ex, he asks, we ever did anything like sexual together, or like if I ever sent him nudes. I was like, sort of, I guess. I was trying to be as vague as possible because I'm like, I don't know why I'm talking to this guy in the first place. And he like asked who would start it. I said probably my ex. Asked if I was like ever uncomfortable with it, and I said no. I'm pretty open. I'm a pretty open person sexually because I am. But like, then he like, what the fuck did he say? He just says like, ask that because commonly with guys, when their sexual needs are not met, they look for other girls. Which is why I think this girl of his existed to you 3 days later, because my ex cheated on me, or I found out that he had a girlfriend 3 days after we broke up. That's not that big of a deal, I guess. Not for the situation. I don't know. We were just talking about like the guy or the girl that my ex cheated on me with, and he says shit about like his exes, I guess. I don't know. And then he says, dumb question, how have those sexual needs been? Because he asks about my sexual needs. And no, he says we all have sexual needs, some more than others, as long as you are keeping your head high and want to feel alive. Blah, blah, blah. I said I have been way too and then like a shocked emoji because like quarantine and shit. He just asks, being single for several months after being cheated on drove me like a winky emoji with its tongue out. That's a very weird way of using emojis. It's very weird. I don't know. Just asks if I've like gone to porn as a source of pleasure. I just said yeah, because I'm just like, I'm not trying to go into any of this shit with this guy, but like I didn't want to be an ass because I'm nice. So just gave very short like yes or no's pretty much to everything. This continues with this conversation. And he says, I'm a pretty open guy myself. I ask and answer the questions most people don't. I like getting to know people. I find it interesting. I said I do the same. He just says, knowing Amanda is erotic is interesting, kind of fire, but mainly interesting. I said interesting in italics because I was like, okay. He asks for my Snap. And from there we go to Snap. He sends me a selfie right after he adds me. I just send a normal one back. And asks if we want to play Truth or Dare. And again, I was like, sure, with a question mark. The first question he asks me was, what was it? Fuck. It was weird. I have a copy paste of it somewhere. Let me go find it. So I have the exact question. Fuck. My shit was. It was like, what like, sex position I'm most like interested in trying, and immediately there I was just like, yeah. So he says, since you enjoy sexual content, what is your favorite sexual position you one day wish to try? Immediately I was just like, oh, okay, this is too far. I'm not comfortable with this. I said something like that along the lines, but a lot like nicer, I guess. And then I just didn't respond, and he's like, I'm assuming you went to sleep or you fell asleep finally. And I was just like, yeah. I didn't though. And wasn't on, so I was basically listening to Joe, and he was just telling me, you need to end this conversation, because as this all was happening, I was telling Joe and like one or two of the other guys that were on call with me what was happening, and they're like, this is not going anywhere good. You need to stop this. And I was just like, okay. So I was trying to end the conversation as much as possible, so that's why I just quit answering at that point after he asked that question. I just acted like I went to sleep. When Joe gets on, or when Chimp gets on, he tells me that it would probably be the best idea, or like, to get evidence to show this guy's girlfriend that I didn't know existed at this point. need to get more evidence. So he just told me to try to like talk to this guy again, and talk to Luca again, and see how far it would really go with me. And I was like uncomfortable with it, but I was like, okay, I guess so. So I just texted him and I said I can't sleep. He asked if I want to talk on Snap again, and for screenshot's sake, I just said, can we talk here? I like it better, because on Discord it's a lot easier to take screenshots and get evidence of like what's happening. So he just asked how I'm feeling. I said, decent, I guess, just lonely. At this point, I started being a lot more like, I don't know, feeding into the shit that he's saying a little bit more, so he'll continue talking. So he just asked if I need a hug, and I said I would like that, and he said, and maybe a cuddle. I said, yes, please, and then he said, anything else with the eyes emoji. I said, what are you willing to give? He said, whatever it takes, with his stupid fucking cowboy emoji he uses way too often. And he just asked if I'm okay, though. And I said, yeah, I want to do stuff, though. And he said, what sort of stuff? I just say, like, the blushing emoji. He said, it's okay, I won't tell. And he said, is Amanda suggesting the naughty stuff? And I said, possibly. He says, how does she plan on doing that, then? I said, I would like some help. He said, from who? I said, you, with the... I said, you, question mark, with the eyes emoji. I guess you better snap me your situation, and I can see what I can do to help. Again, with the cowboy emoji. I said, what exactly? He said, go on Snap. And, it gets very weird very quickly. Let me go pull up Snap. I mean, it ends up, he just said, oh, well, he, sent a picture of just, like, his crotch and underwear. I was just, okay. I screenshotted it, and he asked if I couldn't screenshot, and I said that I deleted it if he felt uncomfortable, and I apologized, but I needed the screenshot either way, and he just said, keep that one. I was like, oh, okay, and he says, so I can see what you have going on there, and then he told me to send snaps. I said, of what? He said, you taking care of your situation, and I shall send you one of me stroking my dick. I just said, it's gonna take a sec, I'm kinda nervous. At this point, I had sent him nothing. I think the only thing I had sent him is one, maybe two selfies of myself in the hoodie, laying down, late at night. Like, it wasn't anything, like, erotic at all. It was just a picture of my face. And, I just said, it's gonna take a second, I'm kinda nervous, because I'm acting as if I'm gonna actually send him something, but I'm not. I didn't. It's okay, trust me, this will never leave between us. If you want to do this whenever you need help, I'm fine with that. Meaning, he probably would have continued this if I never told anyone. I just said, if you send something first, I'll be a lot more comfortable. And he sent me a dick pic. That's pretty much the end of the conversation at that point. I screenshotted it and blocked him on everything.
Well, I think so when I first started dating him, so that was February last year. So I was 14. And I think the first time he asked for pictures was probably, I'd say, like a few months after that, so I was still 14. And at first I said no, because like obviously I didn't want to, and I didn't feel comfortable with that because of it. So I said no, and then he goes, oh, okay. And then a little later in that day, I remember getting a Snapchat from him. So I opened it, and that was a dick pic from him. And I kind of just tried to, like, sure. Didn't really know what to do, so I was like, okay, whatever. Kind of ignored it. And then as time went on, he kept pressuring me to send pictures, and I felt uncomfortable doing it, and I kept saying no because like I didn't want to. But then like it got to a point where I felt like I don't know why, I was stupid and I was obviously fucking young. I still am, but still. So I felt pressured, and I felt like I had to in order to keep him happy, I guess. So I did. And then I turned 15, and then happening. And then there were just there was a situation where I got permission for my niece to say this, but he knew I had a niece. She's not my niece by blood, she's my niece by marriage, so we're not related in that sense, but obviously she's still family. And he talked to her a few times. They were friends. I have a problem with that because I didn't. But so she just turned 14 at the time because she's only a year younger than me. And there was a situation where he always like not always, but there was a situation where he wanted to have like a third person, like not involved in the relationship, but he wanted someone else to send pictures. And I said no, like I don't want to, and two, that's no. And I kept saying no, and he kept like saying like why not, blah blah blah. He kept trying to pressure me with that as well, and I'm like, okay, fine, like whatever, I don't care anymore, you're just gonna keep asking. But then he said he wanted it to be my niece. I'm like, no, I don't want that. Like, she's my niece. She's 14. I shouldn't even be fucking doing, uh, you know. So then she later told me, so at this time he had my logins because he felt the need to have my logins because he felt like I was lying to him and hiding things. So I gave them to him to prove that I wasn't hiding anything. So at the time, I had my niece on Snapchat, and she told me that her pictures when she said no. And at that time, I didn't get that message because he opened it instead of me. So she texted me saying, "Oh my God, he opened it. He's mad. He's threatening to like just leave, to never talk to us again, this and that." So then I told him that like we need to stop this, like you can't involve me. This is fucked up. Like I didn't want this to begin with, and you involved my niece in this, and she felt awful because he sent her pictures. He pressured her to send pictures, and then she felt awful about that. And I told her it wasn't her fault because obviously she's young, she doesn't understand, and she was pressured and she felt like she had to, and no one should feel like they have to send pictures or anything in a relationship. No one should feel pressured, and yet she was and I was. um so he involved my 14-year-old niece in her pictures when she said no. He originally sent me pictures when I said no, and then eventually obviously, yeah. That's the only situation that basically involved pictures. I really don't know if there's like anything else. Um Dang, no, that I Mm, um oh, and then there was this one situation. Um so when I turned 16, so at the time we broke up, um I'd say March of this year. And I got a message from him on my birthday over Instagram when I turned 16. And he goes, "Hey, I miss you a lot. I want to try to give us a second chance." And I didn't. Um, I used to want to get back with him because I felt like he was a better person than when he was, but obviously I was wrong. But he messaged me saying that he wanted to get back with me. I said no, I don't want to go back down that path with you. I just don't. And he got mad and he threatened. He basically was trying to blackmail me to get back with him, saying he would release pictures of me and saying that other people to see those pictures of me and I deserve to be spammed by creepy people on the internet calling me a whore and a slut, and basically saying, "Are you sure you don't want to get back with me? Like, are you sure?" Basically saying that if I don't, that he'll send them off to people on the internet. And I said, if you do, that's illegal, and I feel like you would be smarter than that, but maybe not. But I basically said, no, I don't. If you send those off, that's illegal. If you do send them off, whatever. But I'm not getting back with you. Like, you can't use that against me to try to get back with you. Like, I'm not going to. Like, I don't want to. So, yeah, he threatened to try to release the pictures, and I was 15 and 14 during those pictures, so technically that's, yeah. Um, that's really it.